And we are live from Cologne, Germany. Welcome to another episode of Home Office Talks and greetings from sunny Germany. The purpose of these live broadcast series is to deliver insights from various home offices around the world. As during the pandemic, access to so many live events have been restricted. We are live. So you'll be able to join in the conversation, ask live questions, and write comments. Feel free to check out the previous 14 episodes on YouTube. There is a nice playlist for all of them. And as soon as we figure out how to do playlists on other channels, we'll put playlists on there as well. So today we tune into sunny Aachen, Germany, which is not so far away from me in Cologne, but the same sun shines there as well as it does here. And we're also tuning into close to Leuven in Belgium, where it's sunny for sure. So we'll get to talk with a member of Team Sonnenwagen. That's solarcar for all of you still learning German. Team Sonnenwagen is a group of 45 students from Rheinisch-Westfälisch Technische Hochschule Aachen, RWTH Aachen for short, and Fachhochschule Aachen, FH Aachen for short. With all of these super long names, it's easy to understand why they like abbreviations. Anyway, this team of students built 2 solar cars, one for participating at the Bridgestone World Solar Challenge 2017, and the second one, called Covestro Sonnenwagen, at the same race 2 years later, so last year. So this race is the toughest solar race in the world, 3,000 kilometers through Australia from Darwin to Adelaide. Representing Team Sonnenwagen, we have Christian Dahmen. And let me switch to the screen. And we have Christian right there. Welcome, Christian.
Hello, Nico. Thanks for having me.
And also today, on the right corner, we have our very own Steven Daelemans joining us from sunny Leuven. He's a market development manager for electric vehicle battery packaging at Covestro, which you can also read from off the screen. And he has worked with developing the battery cell holder in the Covestro Sonnenwagen. And we'll find out soon if he is a solar car enthusiast or not. Welcome, Steven.
Thank you, Nico.
Wonderful. Good to have you live and online. And as we talk about solar cars, I think it's only fitting that the sun is shining. It's difficult to talk about solar cars in the shade, something we'll learn soon more about. But I want to start this home office talk with something different. I want to ask the audience first. And audience is you right there. So have you had any experience with solar cars? Or have you even built a solar car yourself? Write your answers straight into the comment box right now so I can see them and we can see them. And we'll see whether Christian and Steven, we can continue with the talk or whether we should quit quite now because nobody is interested in solar mobility. I can tell you from my part, in Finland, I had a car with solar panels on the sunroof, and because the angle in Finland is so low, that was honestly useless. So that's kind of my not so good experience from having solar panels on a production car. But that was like 7-8 years ago, so maybe that was too early. So, we already have a comment from Mr. Gada, who says that we built a solar car. Christian, you are not alone. That's very promising. Let's see whether we have other viewers who are actually professionals in solar car development and building. Mr. Gada continues. It was a 3-wheeled hub motor powered solar vehicle. So a rickshaw with solar power. That sounds exciting. Cool. So keep those comments coming in. Certainly, we now have both electric car and battery experts. I'm really excited to get also the questions from Mr. Gada, but also from other guys who are watching this episode, because I think solar mobility definitely is something that in these times of more sustainable technology is something that should be, I think, of high interest. So I will, Christian, turn to you next, but I will still see whether we have any more solar car builders in the audience, which would be fantastic if we have. Let's see later on in the comments. Again, as you watch this audience, as you watch Christian and Steven, please write your questions in the comment box down below, and I promise you we'll get to them during the broadcast. So, Christian, back to you in sunny Aachen, and I can see you have Australia behind you in your on your world map. Can you tell me a little bit about the Sonnenwagen project and talk us a little bit about how and why you joined the team? And maybe also reflect a little bit on the crazy times we're living with the pandemic. How has the pandemic kind of affected your work?
Yes, sure, Nico. The team's purpose is to promote sustainable mobility and to show the world what is possible with technology we have today. And if you want to get involved as a student in Aachen, you've got quite a number of teams or initiatives to choose from. But Team Sonnenwagen is really unique in its own way. I was personally motivated to apply my knowledge I gained from former work experiences and university classes. And the team offers you to get in touch with cutting-edge technology, and you can work in an open-minded, innovative work environment. And what it really thrilled me is that you're responsible for your own component, and in my case, this is the battery. But at the same time, you can always reach out to every team member for any open questions. And of course, we are influenced by COVID-19 as well as anybody else right now. We had to regulate our conditions in our workshop and in our office, and of course our time schedule, especially for the next upcoming races, was heavily influenced by this. We had to restructure our meetings, and now they're taking place online. And of course, we try to make the best out of the situation and hope that we can work under normal circumstances as soon as possible again.
Thanks, Christian. And it certainly, I can believe that, working as a student and you can learn a lot from fellow students as you work on a project. Steven, can you talk about your collaboration with Team Sonnenwagen? I mean, you have worked with these guys for a while, and maybe talk a little bit about the Covestro perspective.
Yeah, it's interesting to work with young people on a personal level, of course. I think also for the students, it's interesting that they learn how to work with Covestro, how we support our customers, because that's pretty similar to how we work with our customers. They learn, of course, our materials. That's also a help. And I learned over my career that you always meet twice. So many of these students, they show up at customers later. So we're always nice talking with students. So no, that's an important part. Also, I think you learn each other, you work with each other together. We help each other if they need something. So that is I think for sure quite interesting for Covestro. Also internal in the company, it's very interesting that a lot of people, especially when the race is on, is following this. There's a lot of talk during lunch times also. And I'm personally also a big fan myself. I'm following these races for years now. Myself, I'm based in Leuven, so there is a Belgian team in Leuven also, which we helped in the past. I studied there on the university also. So with a polycarbonate canopy that time and the molds to make the monocoque. And now I'm quite happy to help the Aachen team where we sponsor now. So that is, I think, also quite interesting internally for all our colleagues to follow this. And on the practical thing, if I look to our team, in the battery team at Covestro, we have so many projects, but we have one small problem with it. We are not allowed to talk about it because we work always under NDA, and so we cannot go out and go live and tell and tell about it. So Team Sonnenwagen gives us also an opportunity to talk about this, like today, about our solutions, the materials we can offer, and how we can help customers. So, and I think, I think we also made a small video for that, where you could see like the battery, and
Sure.
yeah. So that's also very important, of course, and what we try to do.
Here's the battery technology. We have a small clip kind of demonstrating, I think, Steven, what you just talked about.
Yes, our material is a plastic material, the clamshells, and I think it's very important that all these batteries, you have to stack them. They have to be welded together, and not so much because for this prototype, in the prototype phase, but later if customers go in mass production, the dimensional stability is very important. That all these batteries fit together, so they can, for instance, if you can see it, a lot of welds needed, and that they can do it fast, and also that we have a concept that is scalable and that you can copy paste very fast, because the battery industry is growing so fast. They need to scale up extremely fast. So there it helps also our materials.
Cool. So I know Team Sonnenwagen is prepping up for the European Solar Challenge. So not the Australian one, but the European one. Christian, maybe you can talk us a little bit about the European solar channels and maybe how it's different from the Bridgestone World Solar Channels. I know for sure there's going to be less sun in Europe than in Australia, but what else is different? Steven? Christian.
Please. Sorry, Christian.
Sorry.
I think it's our second time competing at the European Solar Challenge, and we're planning to take part with our previous car, which we built for the World Solar Challenge 2017, which you already mentioned.
I can show it.
Our previous car, which you can see in the video, the current Covestro Sonnenwagen, with which we participated in the World Solar Challenge last year. And still there is no 100% guarantee that the race takes place due to COVID-19, but at this point we're trying to prepare as good as possible and hope that it takes place as planned. And the main difference between these challenges is in the World Solar Challenge, the team who arrives at the finish at first wins the challenge, and the European Solar Challenge is different to that because it's a 24-hour endurance race. So the team with the most completed laps within these 24 hours wins the challenge. It's a former Formula 1 circuit in Belgium on the circuit of Solda.
Wow.
And you can get extra points for the fastest lap and the performance in a dynamic parcours. And due to the fact that there is obviously no sunlight at night, we have to bridge the missing energy. And therefore the teams are allowed to charge the car twice during these 24 hours. And the stop has to last at least 1 hour. And so we want to keep the charging stop as short and efficient as possible. But this requires a reliable cooling and a very good thermal managed battery, because you want to charge the battery with a high amount of energy and in a very short time, and you want to get back on track as soon as possible. So that's one major challenge we are facing, particularly in the European Solar Challenge.
And that's I think that's very exciting. So the future Kimi Räikkönens from my country will be on the racetrack and learning how to race with such kind of cars. Very exciting stuff, I have to say. And also, I think you learn a lot about charging at the right time, charging efficiently, and ensuring that you get to where you want to go. Steven, you are an expert when it comes to batteries and their components. So how is this an interesting market? And what part does Covestro play in it? You already mentioned a little bit in your earlier comment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to give you some insights, what Christian said is quite interesting, because that's what we all want. We want to have a drive long with our car and charge fast. Nobody wants to, and now you get free coffee if you charge your car. So that's what we all want at the end, driving an electrical car. And that is also what we see a trend when we talk with customers, that they want to increase energy density and the faster charging. And both they lead actually to higher temperatures. And there we try to come in with some solutions. We have solutions worked out on materials which are thermally conductive and electrically insulating. That helps in the battery. who can do passive cooling. But we also develop new materials because some OEMs use active cooling elements, especially in fast charging. Temperatures rise fast, and to control the temperature. So there we developed a material that is compatible, for instance, with water glycol, and you can build your cooling system with that. Also, becoming more important is about safety. Is that we have, of course, flame retardant materials. What we developed are all flame retardant materials, and what we then offer, and I think that's we're pretty good in that, to be honest. Customers like us when we come, is we try to bring all these different functions and help them to integrate this in the battery. And another example for that is, for instance, to integrate crash elements in your battery. We really have the high-speed crash data. We can help to calculations. We can really help into the development also. So not only material development, but also the application itself. And that's what we try to help, and that customers can meet this trend. And I think that is all at the end what drivers driving and buying an electric car want at the end. So it's quite exciting the coming months, actually. The 22 September Battery Day is coming from Tesla, so everybody is it's quite interesting what they have to tell.
Absolutely. And of course, you see Elon Musk flying into Germany, test driving electric cars. So I thought he was landing in Aachen, but he landed in Braunschweig. Maybe he will next time in Aachen. Christian, Team Sonnenwagen has participated already in 3, and this is now the 4th, as you mentioned. From a learning point of view, and this is something I would also love to learn regarding learning maybe from Steven. What did you learn from the previous cars and races, and what do you believe the car will evolve like? What will be some of the technologies you believe will be adapted in serial production? If when Sonnenwagen becomes a Volkswagen, and I'm not saying anything like it would be, but what will the future look like from your point of view?
What we really learned from the previous races is that we have to deal with very harsh conditions, especially in Australia. For example, last year we were surprised by a sandstorm in the outback. These are events you cannot be planned in advance, and especially in these unexpected situations, you're forced to get creative and to think out of the box. And I think this is something you can say about every team member at Team Sonnenwagen Aachen, that there is plenty of room for ideas, and that there is a certain kind of mindset that everyone has to approach problems in a very unusual way. And I think what the car or the solar car in general will evolve on a technical side, I think particularly the electric drivetrain will become more powerful and efficient. And I think in the last few years, you could already see huge progress in the development process of battery chemistries or solar cell efficiencies. And these are basically the 2 big factors which limits the performance of our cars, but are also important for further development of the energy transition and the rise of electric mobility. We are currently reviewing these different new technologies in that field, especially in the solar cell field and battery fields, which is basically my topic. And these are the fields we are hoping that this could be a really advantage to us, that we can get ahead of the competition in the next races. And you mentioned like solar roofs on your cars before, and I think something like this can be adapted to production cars in general. There are startups like Sono Motors or Lightyear, which already integrate solar cells into the vehicle, like on the roof or in the side doors. And I'm also convinced that more established manufacturers like Tesla will also offer this as an option in the future. And I think that might be a good example that an industry can be affected even through a small group of students or due this competition at the World Solar Challenge. And I'm really confident that about seeing more innovative ideas from solar race teams in the future.
Cool. So it's only a question of time before Elon Musk lands in Aachen, and
I hope so.
Cool. Let's go to questions. We have an international audience from all over the world. This is really exciting. Let me take up the first question, and please keep writing those questions. We have the amazing opportunity to learn from these experts and really people who define the future of mobility. We have the first question from Swapnil. And I think Swapnil was the same guy who has experience in three-wheeled electric vehicles. Let me show you the question. Whoops. Let me show you the question. There it is. So the question is as follows. How to achieve better electric car efficiency or solar efficiency, irrespective of the location. As in some places, we barely see the sun. So Snapville, must have been to Finland, because I have solar panels on my roof in Finland, and I can tell you the sun is not shining in December and January. It's full of snow. And so I'm also want to ask the same question. Who wants to go first?
I can answer this. As
Christian, go ahead.
Yeah, I think, as you mentioned, like Finland is not the best place for solar cars. Due to the missing sunlight, you have to buffer even more energy in the battery, and this will increase the battery size. But of course, there is a limited amount of space in cars, so the battery size cannot increase unlimited. So even for the countries which aren't influenced by the sun that much, it might be more interesting to stick to hybrid cars, or considering, and maybe it's more a topic for the future, but fuel cell technology. But right now, with this solar cell efficiency we have right now in battery chemistry, solar cars are even more, it might be just an opportunity for very sunny countries. And if this idea becomes a more common possibility to all people, that might take some more years.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Christian. And I can look forward. I mean, I think somebody had the crazy idea of having a mirror and reflecting to sun where it kind of needs to shine at any given moment. And this might have been from a science fiction.
Well, Elon Musk is also having satellites out. Or maybe he has a better idea about it. Even in Finland, then we have sun. We can put a mirror in space. Nico, I think also the exciting thing about electric cars is that it will be better fitted to unique customers, actually, because you have this platform. Volkswagen is developing one, like a skateboard platform, and you can build any car for any customer somewhere in the world on it on a totally different way. And that opens, of course, possibilities. If you are in a sunny country, then it's a good option, maybe. And you can reduce, like Christian said, on the battery, so you lose weight. And in some countries, you easily can modify it and build a different car which fits better your needs then.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting point. And we have actually a follow-up question, I think, to this question. Let me put it up. Again from Mr. Gada. I mean, he should be coming here. We have to invite him to the next home office talk. I would like to know if how and when do you think solar-powered vehicles would impact the market, which I think is leading to the question that it may not be the vehicle of choice for everyone, depending on the conditions. Any comments on this perspective regarding the market impact?
I think solar-powered vehicles are more used like a range extender at first. I think the startups I mentioned before, like Sono Motors, use this technology to give an extra charge to the vehicle, but it's not the main energy source for it. This is still the battery. And I think if you really want to rely just on solar energy, this will depend even, I think, 1 or 2 decades or even more on your location. Right now, this only just makes sense in very sunny locations like California or Australia.
Yep. No solar cars in Finland. Not many. I can tell you that. Steven, you want to add to the market impact? Do you believe there will be a growing market for as range extenders from what you have seen?
I think Christian mentioned the companies working on it. We know several OEMs tried something, and technology is improving. So yeah, I'm fully with Christian there. For some customers, it will be a nice option to have it.
Cool. We have a follow-up question, and I think this goes to our battery experts we have here. Hello, guys. Interesting discussion. Thanks for the feedback. Can you please be more specific on the type of plastics involved?
Of course we can. I don't want to make it a sales pitch now, but of course. I think what we showed in the movie with the battery is that we have a thermoplastic material, which is, as I said, very dimensional stability. It's stable over temperature range -30, 80 degrees. So that's important. If you look to the battery, it's flame retardant, the materials, because you can have some issues with the battery. So safety is a big thing, and also it's very impact resistant. This material. So also there, in an event of a crash or there are tests like rattle tests, and so you need a tough material. So the combination of this is what we sell as specific grades BiBlend and Macrolon. That's what Covestro is selling into the market, and then we have dedicated grades. But I'm very open to have a discussion and even a presentation if you want to learn more about the solutions, the materials we're offering, without making the whole thing a sales pitch now.
Cool. Christian, do you want to add to that as a battery engineer?
No, I think Steven already mentioned the most important key facts to that.
Cool. So it's good to know that everybody who wants to build a battery-powered solar vehicle, just talk with Steven. Let's go to the next question, and thanks for submitting these questions. I think this is the great thing about live broadcasts, that we can have a live discussion. And here we, just a second. Yes, you can see it on screen. What battery capacity is needed to make the big step into the mainstream market and in the mind of the people? When do you think that will happen? Very, very good question. So with a double A battery, you won't get far, but you can't haul a truck full of batteries either. So what's the solution, guys?
I think this heavily depends on the gravimetric energy density. Like the most state-of-the-art lithium-ion cells offer 25 250 to 300 watt hours per kilogram. And I think there might be a huge development step in all solid state battery in the next 5 to 10 years, that you can reach gravimetric energy densities up to 400 watt hours per kilogram. So of course there will still be a limited amount of space in the cars in the future, and you have to fill this space with as much energy as possible to give a wide range to the people, because they don't want to pay more for a car that can last not as much as a car with an internal combustion engine.
Mm-hmm.
Steven, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. Of course, we as Covestro, we're not into the cell chemistry. At the moment, I'm not aware that we have any material. There may be some developments in other business units, but at the moment, not. Where we focus on is on the modules, and Christian mentioned the energy density. And there we focus on to make a safe battery, what I mentioned before. Temperature is quite important, but also at cold temperatures. A battery likes 37 degrees, like we all like. And you have to, in winter, you have to heat it, and when temperatures are rising, you have to cool it. So important is for the lifetime of a battery that you have a very homogeneous temperature all over the pack in the different conditions. And I think there's a lot of development also next to the chemistry that Christian mentioned. And if we look to a Tesla battery, they have a very good cooling and heating system, a very efficient one. And we see that there is a lot of improvement there. So the lifetime of your battery can increase. You can increase the energy density. And in this perspective, I think soon, and I'm really looking forward to Battery Day, what Elon Musk has to tell about. I expect he will announce the 1 million mile battery, and that will be, I think, a game changer in the sense that people then are willing to allow for bidirectional load charging. So that means that your car is part of the electricity in the network. So what you do then is, and when you arrive with your car in the evening, you can cook with the electricity of your car also. And that will be, in the mind of many people, such a battery game changer, because it solves a lot of problems, which today we have when we would like to go for driving an electric car. The network needs to be stabilized there, because our electricity network is not... when we build it, we never thought about electrical cars, but such a battery is really then a backup system. It can stabilize the network, and we don't need to invest so much. So I think they're soon. Soon we will see the next coming months, the next 1-2 years, there will be a big change.
That's very promising. My inverter at my house with solar power has this plug. Insert your car here, so it's kind of future proof. I just need you guys to come up with something that also works in Finland. We have another question coming in. I think it's a great one. It's about recycling. This is the question. What is the life of the photovoltaic panels, and what can be done with them at the end of life? Have you thought of any recycling cycle? And of course, the same for batteries. I think this is a really, really good question. The end of life of solar panels, even though, I mean, my solar panels have a 20-year guarantee, so it certainly seems like a very long-lasting piece of equipment. What do you say?
Well, I'm not a specialist in solar panels, Nico, but about recycling of batteries, that's quite interesting. Of course, batteries will be recycled because of the precious metals in it. Europe is writing a whole plan, and I think different regions in the world also about that. How we can bring back, and also we as Covestro, we're looking in how we can support this, because also there's a lot of plastic materials in it, and how we can how we can recycle these kind of materials. So there's a lot going on at the moment about the batteries and the recycling of batteries, definitely. Especially how to collect them and setting up these things. And then second thing is somebody needs to decide if you will refurbish it or repair it or recycle it. So that's an important step. And then once you decide to recycle it, then there is also a supply chain setting up, and we would like to be part of that also for plastic materials.
Christian, do you have any end of life plans for the panels that you're using specifically regarding to the question, or are you reusing the same panels?
We are trying to use these cells as long as possible. Like I mentioned, we will use our last car for the current races, but of course, sustainability is a very interesting and important topic to us. And as a small team, it's very hard for us to rely on partners who can recycle things like this. But I think it's also an issue for the whole politics. If you want to push the transition to a sustainable future, this also includes the recycling process, and therefore the companies which produce these components like solar cells or batteries should be a bit more forced to do a lot more research regards recycling and keep an eye on the whole life cycle process.
Okay. And we have the last question from United Kingdom. Let me put it up on screen. It's about priorities for the future development. What do you think the priorities should be in the coming years for the development of electric vehicles? Although all are important, of course, which factors would you rank most? Production cost, running costs, weight, range, efficiency, material use, safety, for example. I think all of them have been mentioned, but if you would try to prioritize them a little bit, what would be your take on this? Maybe Christian, you start, as you're going into a race with one. So you don't have to, reveal your race plan. But what's your thinking here?
Yeah, of course, I would prioritize the battery as first as a battery engineer. But I think the production costs, especially for the battery, are a key factor for further increase of the mobility rise we see. So it's really important to produce a very cheap battery with materials which are sustainable as possible. And I think what established manufacturers are really good at is keep low production costs in production of normal vehicles, but even because this battery production is a very new topic to established companies, this is a very big issue where especially European manufacturers can learn something from established Asian companies. So there is quite a gap to close in terms of production costs when it comes to batteries.
Cool. Steven?
Yeah, I think Christian is fully right. It's the production cost, and especially if you talk about the battery, not so much about the electric car, of course, but also there will be a shift. But once you have if you look to the battery and you integrate like a, you call it a skateboard platform, there are some startups who have really cool ideas about that. And also Volkswagen, they have a plan to reduce the cost further of the batteries. And I mentioned it before. The way or the direction is mass assembly. Today, these batteries are actually almost by hand built together. If you need a few thousand of them, there are a few companies in the world who produce more, and they do it differently. And Tesla, I think, is one of them. And many will follow. And then it's important that you can scale up. So you need a concept, and it's very similar like building a laptop. So this industry knows how to scale up. They develop a product, and in 3 months they scale up from building 10,000 parts up to millions. And I started my career working for Philips, and that was exactly what we were doing. We were developing a new product, and we had a pilot production. We built first a few hundred, and then and then 10,000, and then from 10,000 we had to scale up to 17, 20 millions. And that is what we see now in the projects also. Now customers ask us, and they come with figures, millions suddenly, and of course that will have a huge impact on the cost.
Cool. Thank you very much. I think that's all the time we have reserved for today. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Steven, for taking the time to share your, I know, valuable input with us. All the best to you, to sunny Aachen and sunny Leuven. May the sun shine on your sunny projects. It was a pleasure having you on Home Office Talks.
Thank you, Nico. Welcome.
Thanks for joining again. We're still fighting the second, or in between the third wave of the pandemic. So there is ample reason, I think, for us to continue these live broadcasts, as long, of course, as you keep watching. The next one is coming actually already next Monday, the 14th of September. Surprisingly, also from Aachen. Aachen must be a magical place. So next Monday, we'll be discussing the latest innovations of using carbon dioxide as a raw material. And you'll get to meet some amazing scientists from that area, Professor Wagemann from RWTH Aachen and Jochen Norwig, one of Covestro's brilliant scientists in that field. And it even stopped there. Also on Tuesday, mark your calendars, that's the 15th of September, we'll go to Denmark and talk with the CEO of Ørsted Wind. I hope I pronounced that right with my Swedish. Ørsted is the world leader in offshore wind power, and their CEO, Martin Neubert, will be joined by Covestro's Chief Technology Officer, Klaus Schäfer. So, super exciting topics coming up, and all you need to do is tune in from the comfort of your locale, wherever that may be in these strange times. So, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned. Bye-bye.